Good morning, everybody. I am very excited to begin this board meeting, and I'd like to start by saying what an honor it is to have the opportunity to work with the best economic development team in the nation. It's truly remarkable what this team has accomplished over the past several years, helping companies succeed, helping communities thrive, and driving our state's growth. I want to thank Governor DeWine for having the confidence in me to serve. I'd also like to thank JP and the other staff at JobsOhio who have worked very hard over the past few weeks to get me acclimated to this organization. I also want to say, before we get going, a special thank you to Bob Smith. I've known Bob for over 20 years, and he cares deeply about public service, about giving back, and about making Ohio the best place it can be. Bob spent countless hours in his service to JobsOhio, and we are all grateful for his time and dedication. Over the past few weeks, I've had dozens of conversations with my fellow board members and the staff here, and it is exciting to see the passion and commitment they all have. It's truly inspiring. But we do have challenges. We know, and I think John Bishop spoke about this at the last board meeting, that we have to continue to make sure we have a workforce that is prepared to fill all the jobs that are available. We also need to always work to make sure that JobsOhio is working for all of Ohio. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I am excited to get going on these great endeavors. So with that, let's call our meeting to order. I believe the first item is to approve the minutes of the June 2023 board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. I'll second.
There's a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes from June 2nd, 2023 are approved. We will now move on to the President's report, and I will turn it over to JP.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, colleagues, and stakeholder partners. I'd like to start the President's report by rolling a video from a recent economic development win. Please roll the video. For Ohio and the Dayton area, today's announcement is a story of leadership and Ohioans' grit and resilience. We've come a long way to reach this moment. But when fully executed, the agreement and the forward vision shared with you today will mark the largest aviation job creation deal in the state of Ohio history, continuing Ohio's historic legacy as the past, the present, and the future of aviation innovation. And it further affirms that we are in the midst of an economic renaissance of the American Midwest, with the state of Ohio leading the way. Joby Aviation is the clear industry leader. Their eVTOL technology is redefining what's possible, and Joby Aviation is in the house today.
The Wright brothers made the impossible possible. They opened the skies for all of us, and they did it right here in Dayton, the birthplace of aviation. And then they scaled it right here in Dayton, building America's first aircraft factory. Today we're announcing that we intend to build on that incredible legacy by building a manufacturing facility for our own revolutionary aircraft right here in Dayton.
The whole nation wanted this project, and Joby picked you, Dayton, Ohio, to do it. Celebrate that, because I know a lot of you have worked hard for this day. And all through this year-long conversation with the Joby team and Joe Ben, I emphasized to them how much pride this community has in its aviation heritage, and that the Dayton area would take pride in being the home of manufacturing the future of aviation, and that all of us will work harder and smarter than any place in the country to make sure that Joby was successful.
This win for Ohio today is huge, and it's another example of the rebirth of prime aerospace manufacturing right here in the state of Ohio, in proximity to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the birthplace, the home, and the future of aerospace.
As you saw in the opening video from Joby Aviation, they chose Ohio. In many ways, that project win was symbolic of the future we've got in store. The new electric aircraft production facility will produce 2,000 new manufacturing jobs and bring nearly $500 million of investment to our state. Our governor, as you saw in the video, our First Lady, the Lieutenant Governor, directly engaged with their time and their passion to make the case for Ohio. And in fact, they helped us to close that deal. Many thanks to Glenn Richardson and the JobsOhio team, who worked very closely with Jeff Hoagland, Elaine Bryant, Micah Newberg, and the Dayton Development Coalition for years to pursue this opportunity. Announcements of this magnitude secure much-needed positive earned media for our state. This earned media is essential for our ability to retain and attract the talent that we are going to need to be successful, not only with Joby Aviation, but across all of the sectors of the economy in our state. Incredible work from our communications team led by Josh Eck, Ryan Squire, Matt Engelhart, working alongside our state partners and the Joby team generated nearly 4,000 stories on that announcement alone that reached over 5 billion people. And as always, Victoria Buchkowski put together an event that showcased our state and recognized the magnitude of this announcement. The strategy to attract major economic development across the state is working. Recent wins like Intel, Honda, Ford, and Joby affirm Ohio is a premier business location as one of the most economically diverse states in America. In addition to Joby, we secured other notable wins for Ohio this past quarter. The Ohio-led Midwest Microelectronics Consortium was selected for the highly sought-after Microelectronics Common Program, which is part of the CHIPS Act. ME Commons is a major Department of Defense initiative to accelerate domestic microelectronics manufacturing in support of national security requirements, again, leveraging the importance of the work done at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And Ohio was selected as as the regional hub for the Midwest. We're very grateful for the support of Lou Von Thaer and the team at Battelle for spearheading the proposal effort. To our congressional delegation, who once again worked in a bipartisan manner to advocate for Ohio's proposal. For the Ohio Grants Alliance, who worked very closely with Drew Cooper, JobsOhio's head of government affairs, and of course, to the governor, lieutenant governor, and the Department of Development for making sure resources were there and leadership was there to make it happen. Amazon Web Services plans to invest over $7 billion in new data centers to expand their presence in Ohio, creating hundreds of new jobs. AWS was a first mover in Ohio among major technology companies, and when the company initially began launching data centers in our state in 1916. This new capital investment will come in addition to over $6 billion already invested by AWS. Wells Fargo announced it would bring a large tech hub to Central Ohio, along with hundreds of high-paying jobs. This investment by a leading financial sector company represents a huge vote of confidence in Ohio's financial technology workforce strength. JobsOhio's Ron Rock, working closely with Kenny McDonald and Mark Patton and the team from One Columbus, continue to build out Ohio's growing financial sector. This year, Ohio claimed the #1 spot in Site Selection's Global Groundwork Index. In our economic development world, that's very meaningful. It's a first-of-its-kind methodology blending corporate projects data with public infrastructure investments between 2019 and 2023. I'd like to call out the importance of the visionary infrastructure investments from the DeWine Husted administration and the hard work from the JobsOhio team and our regional partners who continue to lean into this opportunity for our state. Ohio is demonstrating clear leadership in attracting high-impact corporate facilities, which have generated over 100,000 new job commitments and over $60 billion in capital investments during that same period. Earning Site Selection's top ranking is more evidence that Ohio's strategy is working. Additionally, Ohio claimed the 5th best spot overall in area development's top states for doing business, marking a steady improvement from our positions of number 11 in 2018 and number 8 last year. Do not underestimate Ohio. Our surge in the rankings is attributed to Ohio's outstanding performance across various factors, scoring in the top 10 across 12 of 14 key metrics, including number 1 in water availability, which is absolutely critical to big industries such as semiconductor and battery manufacturing. And while Ohio is experiencing hard-earned and long overdue economic momentum, we must be vigilant to the challenges facing the U.S. and Ohio economies, such as elevated inflation, increased cost of capital, and economic uncertainty. We're monitoring these headwinds very closely, and we have been for a year, and we're making necessary adjustments to keep Ohio in position for long-term growth as the economic cycle plays out. I'd like to now introduce JobsOhio's Vice President of Economic Development, Dana Saucier, and Vice President of Strategy, Andrew Dye, to provide some additional insights on what we are seeing in the market, how it's impacting our pipeline across all industry sectors, and what we can expect to see going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, JP. Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As JP mentioned, we're facing certain headwinds in the market across our 10 industries. However, the main message I would share is that there is abundant opportunity in front of us. It's a matter of timing. So I will quickly cover 3 things and then hand it to Dana. First is just an update and transparency on our deal process. From start to finish, this is essentially what our clients are going through. What's in red is the marketing experience in our lead generation business. What's in light blue is our project management business, the backbone of JobsOhio, where there's give and take with companies as they conduct site searches and negotiate with us on the terms and conditions of incentives. And then in dark blue, the project performance side, where we hold companies to account for the commitments they make. And so what's in red, we're still seeing a lot of strong activity on new lead generation and so forth. Similarly, in the project process in light blue, we're seeing strong site selection search activity. However, there's a slowdown in the negotiation and acceptance phase that Dana will get further into. Next. So the top of the funnel activities remain robust. When we're out marketing the state, whether it's domestically, on the coast, or internationally, we've stayed focused on our key themes like coastal attraction, onshoring. This is where Ohio has a lot of traction. As we're doing our work, this is this effectively event scorecard we're applying. How are we moving the needle on brand awareness for the state, getting out the message on our 10 sectors, and generating new leads. I'd like to thank our entire business development team led by Charlie Roll and Justin Kocher for staying aggressive along with our sector teams to have Ohio get as many quality at-bats as possible. Next is the national picture. So as JP mentioned, decision-making has slowed in 2023. What's in red is the year-to-date annualized activity. It's projected to be a significant decline from the past 3 years of record-level activity. So there is a bit of a timeline dry spell, but data suggests Ohio's maintaining a position of outperformance. Our share of the red bar is number 1 on announced deals, number 5 on new jobs, and number 5 on CapEx when all the new data center investments have been included. So we're monitoring the national data regularly. I'd like to thank our entire research team led by Matt Waldo for generating these industry and state-of-the-market insights. So with that, I'll turn it to Dana.
Thank you, Andrew. Mr. Chairman, welcome to the board. Look forward to working with you and members of the board. I'm honored to report that we have, as you can see on this slide, we remain to have a very strong pipeline. If you look at it's at 479 projects. If you look at, I know jobs often take center stage. We also, as you can see in the third row, an incredible amount of high investment projects at $51 billion. If all of those projects were to be closed, that would amount to about 72,000 jobs. So As Andrew said, we're incredibly honored, and the pipeline remains strong. We are hosting companies every week, and the team is dug in and at all levels from our sector teams. Andrew mentioned the business development team and also our project management, really on down the line. The other area I'd like to call out is, we are seeing a incredible traction in our inclusion program, and these projects tend to be smaller companies in various parts of the state. And this is a program that we launched several years ago in an attempt to make sure that not every part of the state sees very large projects. So this is a way we can make a huge impact at all communities and lift really all counties across Ohio. Another indicator is what we call our mega projects. And as I said, not to take away from smaller projects or medium-sized projects, but the mega projects kind of tell a tale as to how big companies view Ohio, and we're continuing to see massive interest at 10 projects. That number was not long ago, 11, but as JP laid out, the Joby project, which we were happy to convert, I think that's our second mega project won this year. So we continue to see more progress in this area. And then as you can see on some of the stats on the left, projects above 500 jobs continue to be incredibly strong. Next slide. As Andrew alluded to, while we have an incredible pipeline, some of those decisions are being controlled by external factors, and here are some of them that we've summarized here. We're seeing interest rates that are quite high, geopolitical things that are causing decision making by our companies to slow down. And we've seen almost a doubling of how long companies are taking to, once they enter the funnel, to when they finally make a decision. And as Andrew showed, nationally, we're not alone. This is, or is not just Ohio, it's really across the United States. So it's something that we're monitoring. We are making sure at all levels that the customers have everything they need in Ohio to make their decision. So these are external factors that are impacting things. And then likewise, other states are not sitting idle. They're digging in and becoming incredibly competitive. I'd like to think we're helping to up their game as well. But we are competing, and they are formidable competition, and we are continuing to innovate ourselves as well. And then lastly is uncertainty around federal legislation, and an example of that is the Inflation Reduction Act program, where companies could potentially qualify for federal dollars to help reshore and bring manufacturing back to the states. Some of those guidelines have not been finalized, and so that tends to cause companies to pause to say, hey, let's wait and see, what the rules are to qualify. So anything that can be done to bring that, I think that would have an immediate impact on speeding up decision making. So with that, incredibly proud of our pipeline. We're working hard, and we'll continue to lean into the headwinds and as Andrew said, Ohio to outperform. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dana, and to you and your team. Ladies and gentlemen of the board and guests, we are continuing an aggressive posture as Ohio continues to lean in to reshoring opportunities, to the continued trends of business capital and people leaving the coast, seeking a much better quality of life. And through the periods of economic cycle, we'll invest in site development, infrastructure development, development of projects in underrepresented and distressed parts of our state, and in talent development and in talent attraction. The team is performing at a very high level, and this concludes the President's report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, JP. Dana mentioned that the other states are coming for us, but Dana, with your good work and the rest of this team, I like our chances. So any other discussion or conversation on the President's report? Okay, we will move to the next agenda item, which is our committee reports. So yesterday, all of our committees met, starting with the Executive Committee, so I will give that report. At our Executive Committee yesterday, October 5th, 2023, we approved the minutes from the last meeting. We appointed a new director and chair of the JobsOhio Beverage System Board, Josh Rubin. And we also reconstituted some of the committee membership. One of the things that we did yesterday was we changed the executive committee so that it would be constructed of the chairs of the other committees, which I think has worked well in other boards I've been involved with. And that was the extent of the executive committee meeting yesterday. So any questions or discussion on that? No. Okay. Next up is the Audit Committee, and our chair, Lori Gillette, cannot be with us this morning, so I believe Rick Platt is going to give that report.
That's right.
Rick?
Thank you, Josh. I have Lori's report. I'll submit the full report, but just give a brief version of it. Committee met and approved its June 1st, 2023 meeting minutes. Also heard from Deloitte & Touche, our independent public accountants for JobsOhio, and they delivered their opinion of a clean audit for both JobsOhio and JobsOhio's beverage system. In discussing that clean audit, there were no matters or observations identified, and and really compliments were provided to the company's accounting team overall. The committee approved that audit report. Then secondly, after review and discussion as Deloitte left, we acted to retain Deloitte & Touche as our independent certified public accounting firm for the current fiscal year, and that action was taken as well. The committee received a report on compliance activities from Managing Director for Enterprise Risk, Claudia Harrington, and also as part of that discussion, the committee unanimously recommended the annual ethics course for approval by the board. That's my report.
Thank you, Rick. Any discussion or questions, comments? No? Okay, thanks, Rick. Next up is the Compensation Committee, and I believe Dr. Thornton will give a report on that committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome aboard. I am reporting out for Chair General Isles today. The JobsOhio Compensation and Workforce Committee met yesterday, October 5th. The committee began with a review and approval of the May 31st minutes, and then it reviewed and discussed the committee's calendar and work plan for the remainder of the 2023 year. The next item of business was a report followed by discussion on current compensation practices of various entities like JobsOhio. The discussion was led by our independent consultant, and it really gave us some insights into what is going on around the country with companies and organizations like ourselves. We then looked and reviewed current trends and national perspectives as they relate to corporate compensation and benefits, and that was a good presentation for all of us. There was also an update on executive compensation relating to the corporation provided by our Pay for Governance consultation. Next, there was a summary of the completed work done by the McKinsey & Company that we hired to help us evaluate capital assessment of the corporation, human capital assessment. It was reported by Andrew Dye, and he gave us a good summary of what McKinsey studied, and we will continue to look at those findings. And particularly the key performance. We noticed that we stood out in that arena. Then we had a report by Sheila Akins, who gave us an update on the human capital assessment of JobsOhio. And these were two topics that will be continued to be discussed at that committee meeting. There was no additional old or new business, and so our meeting was complete. That completes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. Any discussion or questions, comments? No, great, thank you. We will next move on to the Investment Committee report from our Investment Committee Chair, John Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if this is on or not. As was reported, we met yesterday morning with the full committee. And we began that meeting with a discussion of the minutes and of the June 1st meeting, which we ended up approving. During the first quarter of this fiscal year, the committee reviewed and approved or recommended a total of nearly $20.5 million in JobsOhio incentives to secure 5 core economic development projects. I'll comment on those a little later in the program, but the companies involved would commit to or create at least 1,753 new jobs as a result of those projects. The associated payroll with those 1,753 jobs, annual payroll, is over $112 million. The other thing that's oftentimes not recognized is that the capital investments by those 5 projects will represent $1.57 billion being invested in the state of Ohio. And as was referenced by one of our board members, Tom Williams, we're not really calculating the multiplier effect of the construction jobs and everything else that comes as a result of that. And I think in the future, we're going to start paying more attention to those. And finally, at our meeting yesterday, we received a quarterly report from our outside investment advisor, Cardinal Investments, regarding the corporation's investment portfolio, which is performing ahead of benchmarks at this point. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. Any questions or comments, discussion on any of the committees? Hearing none, we will move on to the next item, which is new business. Do any of the board members have any new business they would like to discuss? No? Okay, we are cruising through this agenda. This is the point in the meeting where we like to go around and give all of our board members a chance to make some closing remarks. So, Rick, why don't I start with you and we'll work the room that way. Go ahead, Rick.
Today is Manufacturing Day. I guess if there were a betting pool on when I'd mention manufacturing, I want to make sure it was right at the front end. Of course, every day in Ohio is Manufacturing Day. But the purpose of Manufacturing Day is to just put a spotlight on really an international issue, but something that Ohio really shines in. JobsOhio is ready to keep that mantra that every day is Manufacturing Day going. As Andrew mentioned in his report, we have traction with onshoring of manufacturing. I just want to share an anecdotal story. We talk about folks relocating from the coast. Bear Paint is close to opening a facility in Heath, Ohio. Their first 10 hires included 4 relocations, 2 from California, 1 from Texas, 1 from Missouri. And one of the women came from California, came from Los Angeles County, where she and her husband and 2 kids were renting a home. Now she's living in Newark, and her mortgage of the home she now owns is half of what she was paying in Los Angeles County. She came for a promotion with Bear Paint. So I think this is a story that I think we're going to see repeating in Ohio again and again. And that onshoring of manufacturing, making sure that it didn't leave our shores, is going to be accompanied with onshoring of people coming back to our state as well. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Rick. Scott?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome aboard, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank you and JP for a couple of good days of meetings. JP, thank you for your whole staff. It's in Columbus today. I know it takes a lot of time and effort to be able to put these on, but it was a great couple of days of sessions. Like we heard about in the comments, we're still have the mega deals that are occurring. The pipeline is extremely strong. We also heard that the economy's got some issues. The inflation showing its ugly head, yet because of this team, even though the decisions are slowing, JobsOhio continues to lead the way nationally, and that's really a testament to everyone that's here in this room today. It's JobsOhio and the JobsOhio network, and a team effort to get through these times as we look ahead and continue to close and ensure that we have a great Q4. So I'm very optimistic, thanks to the team and everyone that supports Jobs Ohio and does what they do every day. That's it for me, Chairman.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate those comments. Tom?
Okay. Yeah, I just want to reiterate that theme. Capital markets have recoiled in the last couple of years, as you know, and that has continued, and it's as tight as ever. And it's really the uncertainty out there that causes that. But we are facing those headwinds. Everyone is. But even in spite of that, for the first quarter, to be able to land $1.5 billion of new investment in Ohio and everything ancillary to that is really, really remarkable. So the team has done a great job. They continue to do a great job. And two of those projects are site readiness projects. And sometimes those are tough, right, to rationalize because the payoff is not right there. But if we don't have those sites ready, we wouldn't have Intel, we wouldn't have a lot of these deals that we have. We have to have site readiness. And so it's good to see that continue. And welcome aboard. You did a wonderful job yesterday. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Jerry Sue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's really great to be back for our quarterly meeting and to see everyone, see the staff, JP, and the team again. It's always great to see A players. And when I come to Jobs Ohio, that's what's here, A players. And so it's always great to be back with all of you and to delve into our topics. And they are rich and deep and certainly committed to the state of Ohio. It's also great that the governor drops in to see us. So he keeps an eye on us. He and Lieutenant Governor Husted care deeply about Jobs Ohio. And so don't think that we're out there too far on the edge without them keeping an eye on what we're doing. So the visit with the governor yesterday was extremely enjoyable and informative, giving us some insights into his expectations, what he is focusing on for the state of Ohio, and it gives us a sense that we are in alignment, JP, with what the governor and the lieutenant governor wants to do for the state of Ohio, which is great leadership. I would also say that I think we're going to continue to soar like Joby. I think that Jobs Ohio is on a great path, and we've got great things to do here in this state, and we will do that. We will produce it. I'm always very engaged with talent attraction and development, as Christy knows, and so hearing her report yesterday was great. And I would also say that we are very dependent on our regional partners. It's good to see all of you here. You are close to the front lines, and you know what's going on and throughout our state, and the involvement that you have with site development and talent development for us is really extremely important. So good to be here, good to be re-engaged, and to know that we're all in good hands.
Thank you. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've noticed we've been using some baseball analogies, I think, here in a lot of our discussions, and I'm sure that's in deference to Mr. Williams over there in the Reds.
It's okay to talk about it this year.
But following that theme, I wanted to comment a little bit about the meeting we had yesterday. You know, it's great to hit a home run every now and then with an Intel or a Joby. But really the success of Jobs Ohio, in my opinion, after about 10 years on the board, is that it's the singles and doubles that we get that really make us difference. I mean, yesterday we had 4 projects, as I mentioned earlier, that totaled $1.57 billion in investment, 1,700 jobs. I mean, there are states that would celebrate that as a mega project. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, and these are around the state, 4 real quality operations with, you know, very solvent companies that are making an investment. So that's, in my opinion, that's the real key to our success. And it's been reported, it's the Jobs Ohio team that really makes that happen. That's what makes us unique, along with the regional partners. I mean, we probably wouldn't have got the Intel success had we not had some real active engagement by our regional partners locally, and that's going to be the answer, in my opinion, to the headwinds we keep talking about, because I think you are going to see it economically, but Ohio is so unique relative to many of our competitor states, and you can see how we've risen in the rankings. And that's a huge change from when JobsOhio was created 10 years ago. We were on the bottom end of those rankings, frankly, and unemployment rate of about 10%, and things a lot different than they are today. So we as a team are excited about the future, and we think even though there's some headwinds, we're going to have a lot of more solid hits in the future. I also would want to welcome Josh. He's a very successful individual, and for him to take the time to become our chairman is a credit to JobsOhio. And I have to also recognize my friend Bob Smith for his contributions, and he's now enjoying some time away from JobsOhio.
Thank you, John. JP?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start off by also reflecting on our former chairman, Bob Smith. We talk about Team Ohio. We talk a lot about this being a unique and special place with a unique value proposition that we all know is valuable, but it's becoming more valuable the more people that are exposed to it. Volunteers on our board, regional partners, local partners, elected officials of all parties. We're successful because we love that value proposition, and we love Ohio. And Bob Smith clearly loves Ohio. And I want to thank him for his service as our chairman at JobsOhio over the past 4 years. During his tenure, there was remarkable progress. The organization expanded its breadth and reach of programs, secured the biggest economic development victories in state history, Intel, secured the largest single foreign direct investment in history with the Honda and LG project. The organization broke every record for every one of our primary performance metrics during his tenure. Jobs created, payroll created, capital investment generated, customer service earned by the team, and many, many more. These board positions, as I mentioned earlier, are volunteer positions appointed by the governor. And the individuals that receive appointments are people that are successful, busy, and have many priorities in their life. And they come up 2 days a quarter at a bare minimum. And I know Mr. Smith firsthand spent much, much more time. He's passionate about economic development, and he's committed to Ohio's economic development, and his contributions were significant, and we're very grateful for his service. So as we bid farewell to Mr. Smith, and we welcome Josh Rubin, our new board chair, I want to welcome you and tell you that I really appreciate the open dialogue that we've had, and I really look forward to working with you very closely, along with the rest of the board and our partners, to continue executing on the organization's 5-year vision and strategic plan. I'd also like to congratulate JobsOhio board member General Lester Lyles, who's not here today, on his induction into the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame, class of 2023. General Lyles is a national treasure, not only served our nation as an active duty Air Force officer for over 35 years, retiring at its highest rank, 4-star general. He's been engaged since then with Ohio business and economic development and private businesses for the 20 years since he has retired from his active duty military service. So this honor is extraordinarily well-deserved, and we're proud to see General Lyles recognized for not only his outstanding contributions of military service, but also his outstanding contributions to Ohio. So as we pass the gavel to Josh Rubin as our new chairman, I'm confident JobsOhio and the great state of Ohio will continue upward momentum and our rightful place as the heart of it all. Thank you.
Thanks, JP. Thanks for those great words. So before we wrap up here, I just thought it would be appropriate to tell a very quick story. Last night we had a reception with some of our stakeholders, and to Rick's point before, had an individual there from California and that had moved back to Ohio, or had moved to Ohio. And he told a great story, which I think says so much about our state. He said he was playing golf yesterday, or the day before, and he hit his ball into another fairway. And instead of the folks in the other fairway giving him a hard time about it, they actually helped him find his ball. That's Ohio. That doesn't he said that doesn't happen in California. That doesn't happen in other states. And part of the challenge that we have is to harness that spirit, this Midwestern ethic that I call it. And it doesn't take long to be within these walls and in this building to understand that it's well and alive here. It thrives. It drives people. And it's a huge reason for the great success that we have had in this organization and that I hope we will continue to have. So, again, it's an honor to serve with all of you on this board, and the team that you have here is just, beyond great, and I look forward to working with all of you in the future. Our next board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, December 7th, at a location to be determined. We will let everybody know where that is, hopefully shortly. And unless there's any other remarks, I will call this meeting to a close. Thank you.